Hi, welcome back. It's Back to the Basics, and we are talking about backups. And that's about it. Let's go. All right, welcome back. Today we are talking about backup. So, what is backup? Well, it's if you have your data, you have your applications, you could have email, all of this data out there, whether it's files, images, video, email, anything data-wise that's stored in your infrastructure, your technology infrastructure, needs to be backed up so you have a way to restore it. With all of these things out there like encryption malware software that are encrypting data, you need to have a way that if something like that happens, you get compromised, that you have a way to restore your data. So let's talk a little bit about the history of backup. So traditionally, back a long time ago, we had tape backups, and they're still available today, but traditionally that's moved on to disk backup. But going back to tape backup, we would have these machines running on bare metal, which is basically the compute, no virtualization. And we would back these things up to tape. We would rotate these tapes because we'd want to have some retention period, which we'll talk about. And we would then take these tapes and get them off-site. So if you had like a fire or a flood or something like that in the office, you'd have a way to restore that. So we've made a lot of progress since those days of tape backup. Now we've got things like VMware or virtualization. There's all these virtualization technologies out there that take the OS instance and virtualize it. Same with the databases and all of those things that house the data is now virtualized. And this data sits on a SAN or a storage area network. That SAN has the ability to do something called snapshots. And those snapshots can be taken very regularly. So like every 4 hours or every hour, depending on what your requirements are. And those snapshots allow you to move back to that point in time. So if something happens like a disk gets encrypted, you could go back to that previous snapshot an hour ago, resolve the problem, maybe get some antivirus, and move forward. Additionally, we have backup products like Rubrik, Veeam, Cohesity. All these guys are out there that are backing up to disk. So they do things like archival, they do things like compression and deduplication, and they can do things like replication. So for example, if I have a local system, I want to back it up through VMware or even bare metal, I'm going to take a backup of that. It's going to dedupe it, compress it, meaning the data is going to get smaller than what it may be originally on disk. And then I have the opportunity to take it off-site, whether to the cloud or maybe another data center. And so I don't need to pull tapes out physically. I don't need to get them in a truck and drive them somewhere where it's secured. I can get them off my premise by transferring that data over the network. So what does that mean for me? Well, it means I have a lot more options around recovery. It's easier to restore data. I don't need to go look for tape 22. And additionally, I can get that stuff off-site without any physical operation, and I can keep things replicated in near real time. So these are all great things around backup. If I said anything in this video that you're like, hey, I'd love to know more about that, make sure you leave a comment, like, subscribe, and we will see you on the next Back to the Basics. Thanks for watching.